Hello and welcome to Reportage. This is Danish bin Nabil. Rupa Publications has come up with a very well-researched book on Kashmir's relationship with Central Asia and China. The book is authored by Professor Khulbhushan Warikoo and is titled The Crossroads. The book talks in detail about the relationship Kashmir had with China during the Buddhism era and how this relationship subsequently grew first under Hindu kings and then Muslim sultans of Kashmir. The book also talks in a great detail about the trade relations Kashmir had with Central Asia and China and about the volume of that trade. The book sheds important light on the great game that was being played in Central Asia between Russians and the British, how Kashmir was the epicenter of this great game. All this ended in 1947 at the time of partition when Kashmir was completely sealed and cut off from the Central Asia. More from the author. Professor Varku, make my viewers understand what was the relationship between how basically Kashmir actually helped in spreading Buddhism to China. But when I talk of Kashmir, I mean the those parts which are currently administered by Pakistan as well as China. How this
Yes.
whole Kashmir was a pivot in spreading Buddhism to China.
You see, my concept of Kashmir is that it is entire Kashmir, undivided state. Kashmir, Ladakh, though Jammu didn't have much role in this trans-Karakoram transfusion or transmission of thoughts, but Ladakh, Gilgit, Baltistan, Chilas, Yasin, and adjoining small pockets which were on the various branches of old Silk Road, because trade used to pass through Kashmir, Ladakh, Gilgit, Hunza, etc., towards Central Asia through Xinjiang mainly. So, along in ancient times, along with trade, monks and preachers would also accompany. That is how, if we there are about still 50,000 inscriptions and carvings on the rocks, preponderance of inscriptions and carvings in Gilgit, Hunza, Shetal, this Chilas, Yasin, and even Chitral area. And in Ladakh, there is like Mulbek and other places. So you will see that these carvings were made actually by either travelers or traders or pilgrims as an offering to Lord Buddha. This was a sort of worship or prayer. Like even these days, they put the pilgrims and devotees put some stones on right side when they go. You will see those, Buddhist uh, various artifacts and other things. But Kashmir, as you know, Kashmir has been a cradle from where Buddhism spread first to Xinjiang because it was just adjoining territory across Karakoram, then to China proper, and to other and on the western Central Asia side also, both eastern side and western side, but mainly to Xinjiang. And Kumarji was the main. Kumarji was born of a Kuchan princess, Jiva, and a Kashmir belonged to a Kashmir ruling family. His name was Kumar. So he had married that Kuchan princess after he had gone on some visit to Kashgar and Kucha, and Kumarji was born. So Kumarji role is fundamental in because so many monks and pilgrims accompanied Kumarji to Kashgar, Kucha, and also later when he went to Siam.
You have also talked about Ashoka's rule to Xinjiang. Yeah,
Yeah,
in the book.
Ashoka's grandson was there, and Khotan was actually directly under his grandson's. And I have been to Khotan two, three times. First visit was 94, because I traveled to Xinjiang about a month as part of first ever India Central Asia Cultural Expedition. Among other places we went, Tibet, Bukhara, Samarkand, all Central Asia, but Xinjiang about 25 days or 26 days. And I recall in the hotel in which I was lodged in Khotan, so there were the false ceilings. They had made the false ceilings had pictures of mandala. It was not picture. I think it was engraved or something. Like we have in Kashmir, what we call the false ceiling,
Khatamband.
Khatam. So there it was. I still recall, but I was not that time 94 equipped much. My camera was small, it didn't capture. But I recall, I still vividly remember the. And second thing, what I noticed is that in Khotan, the appearances of indigenous Khotanese boys and girls, these were like us, or
Also
like
resembled with Kashmiris.
very strong resemblance. And this was my observation. But when I consulted Oral Stan, he had also gone there, and his observation was the same. That it is, I observed that there is strong resemblance, because what had happened in ancient times, some colonies of Kashmiris had settled in Khotan during that Ashokan or Kushan period.
You
So
are-
this is
you
how.
you have also talked in great detail about the trade between Kashmir, Central Asia, Xinjiang, China. Explain to the viewers how important was Central Asia for the shawl industry of Kashmir.
Shawl industry, it was one of the major economic activity of Kashmir, and it thrived during the Dogra period, particularly because, and I have talked some about shawl exports. These were one of the items that were imported or exported from Kashmir, Ladakh to Yarkand, Kashgar, etc. But earlier, during 1850s, 1860s, 1870s, so these were also taken from Yarkand, Kashgar to Andijan, Bukhara, and from other route from Peshawar, Kabul route, Kashmir, Punjab, Peshawar, or Muzaffarabad, from that side, Peshawar, Balkh, Bukhari, and onwards. So those days, the clientele of these Kashmir shawls was the nobility of Central Asia, Begs, Khans, and they would put here as turbans or scarves or whatever, and Russian nobility. Like it was, the Kashmir shawl was famous and popular among the European nobility, but Russian nobility also, and the trade fairs held at Nizhny Novgorod and other places, Novgorod and other Orenburg, other places. Shawl was an important item which was taken from. Few Kashmiri traders would reach up to Bukhara and Samarkand and maybe some up to Nizhny Novgorod, but usually the Central Asian traders would pick it up from Kashmiri traders and take it further to.
And the road used was Srinagar, Leh, Askardu,
Yeah, no, Srinagar, Leh, Nobra, Khardungla, and Yarkand,
Yarkand. Okay.
Karakoram Pass. There were two routes, summer route and winter route. So other route was Askardu from Khaplu and Nobra, Khaplu and
That was the
Askardu.
summer road.
No, that was a shorter, like that was a local trade between Baltistan and Ladakh. So
Okay.
Baltis would come here, bring apricots or some other things from there, or wool, coarse wool, not fine wool. Fine wool would come from Turfan, in Xinjiang and from Gartok in Tibet. So it would come in large quantities
Okay.
to Ladakh, and most of it went to coarse wool went to Baltistan or Ladakh. They would weave kambals or some what we sacks for goods, but the fine wool would go to Punjab and Kashmir, mainly Kashmir.
You have also talked in great detail about the how Kashmir Darbar wanted to cultivate relations with the Central Asian Khanates, Muslim rulers, but then the British always scuttled these relationships.
Kashmir
Explain to
there
the
was no
viewers why
Kashmir
did
there was
British did not wanted a relationship to grow between Kashmir Darbar and the Central Asia.
because Kashmir Darbar was very already having very good relations, whether they were beygs or local Khans of Central Asia, Yarkand, Kashgar, Andijan, Bukhara, etc. But even if there were Chinese in various intervals, Chinese Qing authorities were there. Even with Qing authorities, Amban and Tatai and other, that is Tahsildar level, Commissioner level, Deputy Commissioner, Maharaja Gulab Singh and his son Ranbir Singh particularly, he would maintain very deep relationship with them, person to person. How? And Kashmiri traders, Kashmiri Muslim traders, they would become, they were the actual medium of liaison between, and Maharaja would even loan them some amount for doing trade, and he would keep them in a good position. And I wish to share with you, it is very important to know that how Kashmiri traders, shal traders, or those who were Tibet Bakal, those who were dealing with wool, they were British were always keen to divert wool trade from Ladakh, Gartok, Lhasa, or Turfan, Kashmir, Ladakh, Kashmir. They wanted to divert it to their own administered hill states, Bushehr, Rampur, which they had acquired or which they are now controlling. So William Moorcroft was one of the instruments or one of the persons who was also sent in who went in 1810 and then 1819
This
to
is 1820 and 1830, Moorcroft's time.
1817 to I think
Eight
1820.
twenties.
And he wanted to go to Yarkand from Ladakh. He waited for 2 years in Leh to secure permission to go to Ladakh, Yarkand, because he wanted to see them, because he is the first person of his British who threw open the importance of Ladakh, Central Asia, Xinjiang to the British policy planners. He explained through his, I have gone through his private, public, in a private secret diaries which he used to write to his authorities, British authorities. So the Kashmiris, you can, being a Kashmiri, I feel sometimes, nostalgic about it. How the Kashmiri traders situated in Kashgar or Yarkand and who had developed close fraternity or close liaison with the Chinese authorities in those places. So they whispered through their stratagem or through their maneuverings, they whispered to Chinese authorities that Moorcroft is coming as an English surveyor. He is going to survey all lands here, and as the British first come as surveyors or as travelers, and then they come as occupiers. So beware, don't let him in. And it was at their base that Moorcroft was denied permission he was not allowed to enter Yarkand from Ladakh side. Then he went to Peshawar, Bukhara, and other places and died all the way.
And How did British first by appointing special officers and the residents to both Srinagar as well as in the Ladakh region? How did it basically eroded the Kashmir's independence that Maharaja had tried to keep intact? First, it was
Because
if I have read the book correctly, the first OSD was appointed in around 1857, and subsequently, resident was appointed in 1860s,
67.
67
Yeah,
exactly.
Kelly was the first. Kelly was the first British Joint Commissioner, British officer, OSD first, who was appointed to in Leh because, as I said, Moorcraft's diaries and then other British officers, they threw open the importance of this. And then what happened? Some who was that? Stuart, another British officer who had been sent to, I just forget his name. He was sent to Ladakh for in 1840s. They were sent to settle the border between Tibet and Ladakh. Cunningham and this Stretchy, Henry Stretchy. And that time when Stretchy was, the Chinese didn't come. They played, they didn't refuse also, but they didn't come also. They didn't participate in that. Had it been done at that time, so there would not have been any dispute between China and India in the current situation on this border. But the Chinese didn't come and the British didn't pursue it. So Stretcher at this moment, when he was passing through Ladakh, he met because all the British officers while they were going, they were maintaining a strong visual about any movements from across the border from Karakoram, and these were regular Xinjiang, Triyarkandi, Kashgari, and other traders who would come to Ladakh or even go to Srinagar for trade purposes, bring their goods and take other goods back in exchange or something. So Strachey was approached by a group of these traders, Central Asian traders, alleging embezzlement or harassment by, I think it was Basti Ram, who was the Thanedar, that means Tahsildar or Commissioner of Dogra rulers in Leh. So then this matter further, a big inquiry was launched by the British, and Basti Ram was, I think, he was removed then. And at this point, the British realized the importance of keeping direct touch or liaison with the travelers, pilgrims, or nobility coming from Yarkand or Kashgar into Leh. Because they were not only the pilgrims or traders, it was the nobility or it was the representatives of the ruling authorities in Kashgar, in Yarkand and other Khotan. They would come directly and keep meeting the Dogra rulers representatives. So the British wanted direct interaction with these people without Maharaja or his representative.
You
This is
have
how
also
they impose it.
you have also talked in
Yes.
great detail about the British Russophobia they had. Why did they fear out of nowhere, based on their mere intelligence reports, why did they fear that Russia would invade Kashmir? Russia would invade Ladakh. Russia would invade this region. Why was this
Actually,
fear? Because all the British policies crept out of this fear.
the British were conscious earlier about the Russian physical advance towards Western Central Asia, that is Turkestan, which is what is now Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan, that side. They played up these fears. They played up Russophobia in order to drum up their, or in order to strategize their plans in this region, in this frontier region. So they played up the Russian fear. And what happened in 1870 or 71, they got hold of one information, and which was also provided by Maharaja himself, because his agents would often go to not only to Xinjiang but also go to Bukhara, Andijan, and other places. And what is his name? Khalid Dar. They learned that Khalid Dar had come from Russia as an emissary to Maharaja, and he had been Khalid Dar had come with a message that Russians would be happy to help Maharaja, and if he supports them, uh, in a vague, not in a clear, manner. So the Russians, the British were just playing up this matter in order to further consolidate their stronghold on Kashmir, and they did it. They had decided about the appointment of the British resident much earlier, but they didn't want to unsettle Maharaja Ranbir Singh. So when Maharaja Ranbir Singh passed away, on the one side, I think same day or next day, they announced the appointment of the British resident in Kashmir. So with the
Which
appointment
you
of
have
British
again
resident,
talked in detail in the book.
yeah,
Yes.
I have, chronologically sort of, it is running step by step. Everything is
बिल्कुल
running step by
बिल्कुल
step.
बिल्कुल Professor Warko, sir, make me understand. There is a full chapter on the place called Shahidullah. What is this place?
Yes,
Why was it taken from Maharaja? And why was Maharaja not able to get it back? Just quickly, last 4 minutes left.
76 miles across the Karakoram. It was beyond actually what the British argued, that it is beyond the capacity of the Maharaja or his forces to retain if he takes it back. So, but it was a sort of an outpost with a small fort where he had posted some Dogra soldiers or some to look after the movement of trade between smooth movement of trading caravans between Ladakh and Yarkand, because the Kanjuti, that is Hunza robbers, would intrude or would rob the traders there. So it was one of the reasons. And it remained in the possession of the Kashmir government, I think, for about quarter a century. Then when Yaqub Bey came, so the control lapsed. And when Chinese again came, they had no interest in Shahidura. Chinese came in 1877, so they didn't show any interest. And the Maharaja then renewed his interest and appealed to the British authorities to let him reoccupy the Shahidullah fort. But the British didn't allow him, because they said, actually, what they said was partly true, but what was the main strategy was to befriend the Chinese in Syria, not to give them a reason to be suspicious of the British actions or policies.
Professor, my last 2 minutes are left, and I want to end this conversation with my one of my own questions. Should these old and traditional roads be opened once again so that Kashmir gets connected again with Central Asia?
I think I have reflected on this in my book, that in response to BRI, China, which is developing BRI, CPEC, etc., India should, I have written somewhere else also, that India should try to negotiate
Revive
the
these old roads.
reopening of traditional routes, Leh, Gartok, Lhasa. That was a very good and active trade route and pilgrim route, and then Leh, Yarkand, Kashgar, which was again, and I should point out that I quote the figure from 1936 trade report. The 1936 the volume of trade on Ladakh trade route was Leh-Yarkand trade was 2 million officially. So unofficial, which was not accounted in, so that is apart. But on the Gilgit route, because Gilgit route was also available for trade, it was only 1 lakh. That is 20 times more than Gilgit route. So you have Karakoram, the physical reality today is you have the Karakoram highway and the CPEC running through that old Gilgit route, which had only 20 times less trade running, and you have where the trade is frozen.
So these routes must be opened once again. Professor Warikoo, I must thank you for this interview, and I must also thank Rupa Publication and you for bringing up this quite intriguing book. I hope everyone reads this book in Kashmir. Thank you, Mr. Warikoo, for taking out your time and talking to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Please subscribe to our channel Reportage and press the bell icon to remain updated.